My name is Brian, and you're watching Survival on Purpose. This video is going to be about the Mora Bushcraft Black Survival Edition. So I'm coming to you today from the mosquito preserve I've got going in my backyard. Apparently this is the mosquito infested place I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm often editing these videos and I notice I've got like a mosquito on my forehead or something I didn't see because I'm trying not to look at the viewfinder but to look at the camera. Anyway, you guys let me know if there's any mosquitoes planted on my face when you see this. I'll probably catch it before then, but kind of hard to edit that out when they're on there the whole time. So anyway, I digress. Today's video is going to be about the Mora Bushcraft Black Survival Edition knife. So if you're familiar with Mora knives, you are probably aware that one of the reputations that Mora knives has earned for themselves is that they are made of very good steel. They have an extremely sharp edge, and they're just really good, lightweight, low-priced, all-around bushcraft knives. They are not full tang, so the tang on these things is a little rat-tailed tang, comes down to about right here. But I can tell you, I beat the heck out of my standard Mora Companion. Baton wood with it, it's like a $12 knife, and it has absolutely performed flawlessly. And so I decided to get this one because it's got a few upgrades we're going to talk about. So before we start using it, let's take a look at it before I get it all dirty and show you the specs up close. So this is the Mora Bushcraft Black Survival Edition, and what the Survival Edition means is that it comes with this special sheath that has a fire starter and a little built-in sharpener basically. This knife is made of carbon steel, and the blade on this particular model is an 1/8 inch thick. The blade on the Mora Bushcraft Black is 4.5 inches long, which is about a 1/2 inch longer than the standard Mora normal knives you might be used to seeing. And the overall length is 9 1/8 inches. It has kind of a rubber textured, slightly textured handle of a little bit different shape than the standard Mora, and has a very sharp 90-degree spine for striking a ferro rod. Again, the Survival Edition also comes with an all-weather fire steel, which is good for up to 7,000 strikes, and it's claimed to put out sparks in the 5,400 degree Fahrenheit range. Also has an integrated diamond sharpener, and comes with 2 different belt sheath clips and a standard kind of Mora plastic sheath. We'll take a closer look at that in just a minute. This knife weighs in at just over 8 ounces, and it's priced, street price on the Survival model is about $50, and you can get the standard model, which is just basically does not have the fire steel or the sharpener. It's about $40. So again, I just want to give you a little close-up of the sheath. You see, this is the sheath that the Survival Edition comes with, and basically what they've done, they've taken a regular plastic sheath and glued this little addition onto it. If you can see the little, from here to about here, and which has got a built-in diamond sharpener embedded in it, and some little clips here that hold a ferro rod. And you can see they're kind of, we'll see how time will tell. I'll do a follow-up after a while. I'm not real sure about the longevity of those things, but again, this particular model was only $10 more than the one without it, so I thought it was kind of worth checking it out. One thing that's cool about it is, check this out for safety's sake. Okay, so it comes with a standard Mora sheath that you can just slide on and off, and it's got some little retention kind of notches here, but you don't have to take your belts off. If you prefer a more secure retention, which is, here's a closed loop, and it's also a little larger if you got a wider belt. So to change this clip, there's a little button here. You can see the brown. You just want to kind of mash in on that as you push down on the clip, and it'll slide right out. To put the new one in, you just basically take the little nub on back, hook it in the clip here in the hole, and pull it up, and it locks in place pretty securely. It's got a little bit of a wiggle to it, like a dangle, but that's okay. But then it's got a pretty good sized loop here, probably a 2-inch loop at least, that will not come off your belt. Pretty decent little feature. Let's take a look at the knife itself. I wanted to show you, this is a standard Mora Companion I've had for a little while, and I just want to show you the difference. You can compare the difference in size. You can see the standard Mora Companion on top. The blade is a little longer, as you can see, and the handle is also longer. So get them back here where you can see them a little better. You can see there's just a slight difference in them. So what are some other differences? You can see the difference in the thickness of the blades. The Bushcraft Black is fully an 1/8 inch, and you can see that the companion is about 1/10 of an inch. So there's a pretty significant difference in blade thickness, as you can see right off the bat there. That's one of the biggest differences. The other difference is, I don't know if you can tell that on here, but the spine on the standard companion is kind of rounded off, whereas the spine on the back of the Bushcraft Black is very, very sharp, 90-degree edge. There's a reason for the sharp spine, of course, and that is to enable you to strike the fire steel properly. I'm going to go ahead and readjust the camera and just do some actual knife stuff with it. And one of the things we'll do is check the fire steel out. Let's just see how well this thing performs. You know, every time I start this camera, that dog starts barking. I think it has some sort of sixth sense. So, one of the things that this knife is designed for, and the reason the blade has been thickened, is to make it stronger for batoning. They specifically mention that in some of their literature. So I got about probably a 3-inch piece of wood here, which is going to be about the limit of what you're going to baton with this thing. It's about 4.5 inches long, but so maybe this blade's about 3.5 inches. I mean, this wood's about 3.5 inches. This is probably going to be the limit of what you would try to baton. Now, this is a nice flat piece on a flat chopping block, very similar to what you're going to find in the wild in a true survival situation. So I think this would be a good simulation. But no, seriously, this is about the best I can do in my backyard. So we're gonna at least beat the heck out of this thing. Pretty hard stuff too. Just go ahead and break them in right? So I'm beating on the very tip of this thing. That's probably not good for it, but it seems to be doing okay. Let's just go ahead and give it the full deal here. All right. Well, in my opinion, this knife did a pretty good job on that baton, and I was hitting it right on the end here, and you can see it did not. I was kind of thinking it might damage that point, but it's still extremely sharp. It took a licking, kept on ticking. So, got a piece of what I think is poplar here. It's been out here weathered. We're gonna see how well this thing does. A little carving, maybe a feather stick. Okay, well, it's a Mora, so I had no doubts it was going to carve really good. I mean, they're famous, well known for their sharpness and carving. I'm not going to really do any chopping with this. I mean, it's not a chopper. It's pretty lightweight. It only weighs, like I said, about 8 ounces. So for small tasks, you might could chop with it. I mean, it's pointless. You're going to want to baton this if you do anything. But this thing I'm going to go ahead and do. Check out this ferro rod. Comes with it. So it's got a pretty nice handle on it. My experience with handles like this on some of the lower price ferro rods is they come off. So we're going to see how well this one holds up. We'll see how well it does some sparks too. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and see if we get something going here. I don't know if this is going to work or not because they're not that fine of shavings, but oh wow. I have to say, this ferro rod, it rocks. It really, really throws some sparks. Okay, so I've broken the feathers off of this feather stick, and I've got one of my favorite things to use for fire starting, which is a piece of fat wood. And another good reason to have a sharp 90-degree spine is for scraping tinder. So we're going to go ahead and see how well this works here. Scrape off some fat wood, and just see how well this thing actually would can get a fire started. It scrapes really, really well, by the way. Extremely well. Here we go. So that's really a little piece of fat wood. More knife in here. Start a nice little fire. I'm gonna let that burn for a minute, smolder, maybe kill some of these, keep some of these skeeters away. While I readjust the camera, we'll talk a little bit about this knife. Okay, well the smoke is from the smoldering fat wood and wood, and I'm gonna let it smolder and hope that doesn't bother you too much, but it's kind of keeping the mosquitoes away from me. So anyway, that was the performance test, kind of my initial performance test at least, of this new Mora Bushcraft Black that I just got. I'm so far extremely pleased with it. I kind of thought I would be. I'm really like my Mora Companion that I've had for almost a year now, and this is just a lot beefier. The handle, I'm going to show you this handle. It's a little different design than the standard Mora. Here's the standard Mora handle. It's got a little palm swell here, and here's the Bushcraft Black, and it's actually got a little finger groove kind of in here. So it's a little bigger handle. It's a little beefier. It's got a little more of a swell on the side of it, and it just really feels great in your hand. It's got slight kind of jimping roughness on the handle back here for control, and a little bit more back here also, just help with the traction. And it just feels really, really good. Again, it's a very sharp 90-degree spine with an 1/8 inch thick steel. Super sharp point, great edge. This is what they call a Scandinavian grind, of course, so, which means that from where you see this bevel start, it's just one plane. There's no secondary grind on the edge of it, so it just goes straight down to a point. Really, really good for carving. And it's also extremely well balanced. I mean, it balances like right here. Trying to get this thing over where you can see it. It balances like right here in the middle, right in the center of the knife. And if you've watched very many of my videos, then you know what that means. That's all I'm going to say about that. Made in Sweden, of course. Mora steel. Mora is very famous for their steel. So I'm rambling. I'll stop now. This has been my initial take on the Mora knife Bushcraft Black Bushcraft knife. I hope this has been helpful. If you're interested in maybe you've been looking at one of these knives and kind of on the fence about it, I'll tell you, it's a lot more expensive than a regular Mora. Obviously, regular Moras, maybe I paid like 13, 14 bucks for my Companion. This is significantly more, but I really think it's significantly more of a knife. You saw the extreme difference in thickness, and the 90-degree spine is not just 90 degree, it is sharp. I mean, it just works. You scrape with it, you can scrape fat wood, scrape kindling, scrape tinder, scrape fire steel. Works very good, and don't forget, it's extremely well balanced. Well, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing to Survival on Purpose. Thanks for giving this video the thumbs up below if you like it. Tell your friends about it. If you'd like to support this channel, please check out my Amazon store below. Once again, my name is Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival is not an accident, so be prepared. See you next time.